Everybody ready? All good? We'll get cruising. So, all right. Well, you know what, Gary, I'm going to give you the first two, and I didn't give you options today. So I tell you what, let's do this. Pick any two that you think you remember the definition, and if you don't, we'll fill it in anyway.
Shouldn't remember the bottom, but I don't.
That's okay.
Ish.
Which one?
No,
The it's? The ets? What did you think that one meant? It's okay. Does anybody remember? Tree or wood. Could also mean a bush or anything else. Gary, you could pick the next one. Whether you know it or not, that's okay. You can pick the next one.
I Bob and O.
Okay, so this would be so this is the vowel O, so it's oaf. Oaf.
Okay.
It's just oaf. And what's an oaf? Does anybody remember? It is a bird. Or the best translation is a sky flyer. Something that flies in the skies.
Because a bat.
A bat would be an oaf. Yep. All right. Jay, do you want to pick one?
I'm trying to get the verbalization down right. Is it Safar?
Safar. Perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
Safar.
I was struggling with it through the week on some of what the letters actually were, because what I was working with was different font.
Different font. Yeah. The fonts can jack you up a little bit.
And I'm looking at that. Anyway, that
Yep.
one's to count.
Yes, that's correct. To count as a verb, in a different verb form, it can mean to recount, or a better word, retell, something like that. So it can change a little bit in verb forms, but you'll see that when it's in context. So good. What's another one you might want to take out of here?
I'm still working on the pronunciation.
That's fine.
Is that Hanim?
Hanim, perfect. You got it.
And so I was actually focusing more on pronunciations than I was actually on.
No, that's great. That's great.
And then so I don't remember what Hanim was.
Okay. In this case, it's a little bit of a mixed form for this one, but panim means, anybody remember? Face or presence. So to be in the presence or to the presence of like a lephanayim would mean you're in the presence of a person. You're before their face.
Large denial.
What's that?
That's line of name denial.
Yes. In the face of. Yep. Peniel. Yep. In the face of God, or God's face, or God's presence, in God's presence. Yep. All right. So Brent, you want to give us our last one here? Pakad. Do you remember that one?
I know it's visit.
Can mean to visit. It's a verb. Can mean to attend to appoint, something like that. So yep, a pakad. You don't want the pakad to come and visit you, or he's going to let his lasers of the Enterprise loose on you. So sorry. These are all the things I have to use to try to remember these words.
The thing is, when you read it last week, that's when you said it. That's what came to me.
This is what came to your
I
mind.
was trying to figure out how to tie that.
Yep.
Things.
Yeah, well, you'll love it when you learn there's another pakad with a different letter in the middle that means something different. So it's always trying to trip us up there. Brent, why don't you go and pronounce this, and if you know it, you can give it to us. Patar, perfect. And do you remember what that is?
Interpret.
To interpret. Yep. So that means you should be able to get this next one. Piteron. So what's a piteron?
Interpretation.
And interpretation. So everybody see the everybody see the link between those two words? Yep. Our root right there. Interestingly enough, I did not learn this until Hebrew E. It's not a common word. It would be even less common when you can't spell it correctly. All right. Robin. Roche. What's a Roche? Can be first, can be ahead, can be the top of something, can be the start of something. This is the root of that word you were asking about in Genesis. Rashid is Rosh. That's the root of it. Very good.
What's the chia?
The Tav turns it into a noun or adjective.
Mhm.
Yeah, that'll be we'll continue on pronominal suffixes next week. And then I'm trying to decide if I want to throw the severe confusion of nouns at you after that, or if we should do some verbs first. And I think we'll do verbs first, and then I'll throw noun formation of words at you guys, because it can be frustrating, but as long as you know your roots, you can usually figure it out. All right. So Poppy's not reading tonight. Daisy, would you take this one, please? That's a cough. No Dagash. Shachak. Shakak. And if that's hard, you can just say shakak. Okay. Do you know what a shakak is? What's happening to you right now is the meaning. To forget. Yep. This is the one that I can never remember. Shakak. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one you get.
I cannot remember that word for life of me. I saw it come through my word list again today, and I was like, what is that again? Be the one that haunts me the rest of my life. All right, Daisy, give me this next one. This is a vowel. O vowel. Shalosh. Perfect. And what's a shalosh? I'll give you 3 chances.
3.
All right. Here we go. All right. Steve, go ahead and give me, go ahead and read that one. And if you know what it is, you can tell me what it is. Shaloshim. Correct. That was really good. Really good. What's a 30? What's our root of that one? Shalosh. And so our root would be sheen, lamed, sheen. We wouldn't count the vowels in there. Sheen, lamed, sheen. All right. Well, if that's 30, what's this one?
Yeah.
So this is shlishi. Shlishi. Third. Very nice. Very good. Shlishi. Yep. A little bit. It is a little bit. It's kind of like, I won't say it. I'm recording, so I'll keep my tongue. Ugh. Wayne. Go ahead. And our accent, our emphasis is right here. Shanim would work. Shanaim. Yep, that little hirik that sits under the yod tells us the yod is actually part of the word. Because if you remember, if this hirik wasn't here, this would be a patak yod and it'd just be a vowel. But with the vowel underneath the yod, that tells us the yod is part of the word. It's a consonant there. So shanayim. That's why the accent shifts here. What's a shanayim? It is a number. He's going to give you 2. He's going to give you 2 choices. It's actually 2. It's the number 2. Shanayim doesn't show up as often as shnei here. Shnei is the more common one that you'll see pop up, but means 2. All right. Wayne, why don't you take this one for me as well?
Sharat.
Sharat. Very nice. What's a sharat? It's okay. Means to serve or to minister. So he served, he ministered to, something like that. All right. Carol, you can give us, why don't you go ahead and read the last two here and then you can tell us what it means. Perfect. Shatayim.
Yeah.
Shatai. Shatai. Yeah, it's a hard one. Shatai.
I've got on my papers.
It means two, but this is the feminine form of it. And this one up here is the masculine form. Yep. All right. Very good. Okay. We're going to do just some quick little review, and then tonight's mostly made up of just some reading. So as a reminder, take Sus, a horse, and you could just, when you're bored, run these through your mind. Susim, Susa, Susot, right? Susay, Susat, Susot. And just kind of plow those into your brain. One's an absolute form of a noun. One is a construct form of the noun, because these construct endings are going to help us with almost all other words that we're going to be deciphering as we go through Hebrew. So just continue to kind of plow those into your memory as best you can. In fact, if you're doing vocabulary and you have a noun that's there, you can actually just go ahead and put those endings on those nouns as a piece of practice as well. So for instance, we had panim for faces. So panai would be masculine faces of something. Right. So you can actually put, just take those endings and stick it right on the end of some of those words and play with it a little bit just to kind of get it into your head, because we'll continue to run into those. And then did you need that for just another minute there, Gary?
Yeah, please.
Okay, go ahead. That's fine. It's fine. Usually a vav, I'll just do a straight line and a dot on top of it, so it looks a little bit like an I, and that'll tell me what it is. So, okay. And then we've looked at prepositions and definite articles. A couple of things, just quick reminders. Prepositions are inseparable. They never stand alone. They're always attached to the front of a word. The bait, the lamed, and the kaf are our most common ones that we'll see. In, with, among is usually that bait. The lamed is usually to or for, sometimes with. And the kaf is like, according to, is most often. So in the likeness of God, something like that, the image in our likeness has kaf in there. They've been made like him. So that's those prepositions. And then you can subsume this definite article into the preposition and join them together so that if you see anything other than a shawah, you are dealing likely with a definite article. So in the, to the, like the is how those work. So we'll continue to review those as we come across them in the verses that we go through. And then our other preposition, these aren't the only four in Hebrew, by the way, but these are the four most common you'll run into, was the min preposition, min or mean, however you want to say it. And it can sometimes stand alone, just like it is right here, min sadeh, from a field. And it can also be just mushed up as well. And the letter that we have missing right here between the mem and the sheen is a noon. And we know there's a missing letter because we've got this dagesh sitting right here. But we'll learn more about that when we get into a particular verb where the noons disappear all the time in them. So essentially, the easiest way to do is if you see a mem and a dagesh, you're probably dealing with a preposition most of the time. All right, so that's a quick review on that. And we will look at pronominal suffixes as we get through a few verses. But tonight, primarily, we're just going to read and identify things that we can recognize and try to fill in some of the initial story of the Exodus, essentially what led up to the Exodus occurring, what was happening that got us to that point. So we're not going to cover the whole story. We're just going to go right up to the point of the birth of Moshe. So with that, we're going to, let's see, who will be, I don't know how many slides I did. I think I did enough for everybody. If not, we'll go back and reread another one if we didn't get there. But everyone will get a chance to work through their Hebrew tonight. And don't worry, you don't have to know it all. We'll help you get through it. It's not a problem. But I tell you what, Carol, would it be okay if I started with you for reading?
Yes.
All right, go ahead then.
La e a she la ba
That'd be a bet.
ba.
Bet.
Yeah, I think he's has the dog.
Mhm.
Benai,
B'nai,
Benai, Sterol, Hill, right.
Yisrael. Mhm.
E Haba, E
Abaim. Mhm.
Metzer, Metzer, or Metzer, E
So this is Mitzrai Ma. It's a little bit of a different form. It does mean Egypt. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. So, so here's how it would go. If I can get this tickle out of my throat. Va'ele mot b'nei Yisrael habaim Mitzrai Ma. All right. Well, let's just do what we've done before and say, is there anything in here that we know? We know.
Can you read it one more?
You want me to read it one more time? Okay. So, Va'ele shmot b'nei Yisrael habaim Mitzrai Ma. Mitzrai Ma. Okay. All right. So I heard a few people start to call out some things that you recognize. The and. The Vav conjunction, is that what you're?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. What else do we know? Words or?
LA was a vocab word, and it's
They, right? Or something, wasn't it?
These.
Oh, these.
LA is these. So these versus those. These. Mhm. What else do we know in this one?
I think there would be, feminine plural.
Feminine plural. What kind of ending?
I mean, it could be either construct or
Could be either one, right? We don't exactly know yet.
probably construct though, since there's more construct coming.
Okay. So what's the other construct coming?
Sons of.
The sons of right here. So that one is definitely in construct. So chances are good. It is in construct. Absolutely. What's a Shem?
Oh, the names.
Names.
Oh,
Shem.
and these are the names.
And
of the
these
sons.
are the names, and that we would know the makes it definite. Why?
Is Israel.
Because Israel. So the literal way of reading this would be, and these are the names of the children or sons of, right? Israel. So knowing the constructs is how you put the phrase together. That's how you put the phrase together. These are the names of the sons of or children of Israel. All right. What else do we recognize here? The right here. Yep. How do we know it's a the?
I guess that makes.
Yep. Perfect. Yep. That's our symbol for a definite article, the Patak Dagesh. And then this is a word that was on your vocab, bow, but it might have been a while since you've studied it.
No. I think it was the low.
Low is
Coming or something?
coming or going. Exactly. Coming or going. And you notice it's got this weird ending on it, but we'll learn about that verb type in a in probably about a month or so. All right. And what else? Is there anything here? You said you recognize this as Egypt, the Mitzrayim, but it's got this extension on it, this little ah on the end of it. We haven't talked about that or learned about that yet. I'm just going to do that as we go through that little ah. So Mitzrayim is a place, right? It's a location. When you have an ah on the end of it, it doesn't change it to feminine. It turns it into something that's called a directional hey. It means towards. So you might see Eretza. So when we'll see when Joseph brings the kids to their granddad Jacob, and Joseph points his nose towards the earth. It's his off towards Eretza, means it's towards the earth, towards the ground. So that's not something we're going to go over just and teach directly. It's just something we're going to point out as we read when we get there. So
why is there a the before the bow?
This is a participle form. And so the way it would read is the ha is telling us that it's the definite form of this participle, because participles can act as nouns. So they're going out is actually not a verb. It's more of a thing that they are doing. It's the thing they're doing is going out.
Oh, the going.
The going out. Yep. So now that we've got that sufficiently marked up, let's see if we can fill in the sentence here. So we had, and these are the names of the children or sons, if you want to be specific, of Israel. That's how that would go in that first phrase. In their going towards, and that's where I translated this ah as a towards, and I think Carol filled that word in for us, Egypt. So what's happening here in Exodus? There's you probably read it if you've done your reading for tomorrow. If you're in the class, is that there's a whole list of the children who have gone into Egypt, and they're just recounting. Here they are. Here are the families that are there. And it's just a big retelling of what those families are. And that's how Exodus opens, is listing the names of the children of Israel as they go in. And then it starts to get really good from there, or bad, depending on how you want to look at it. But from a story, it starts to get pretty good. All right, Wayne. The big sigh. I want to hear the big sigh. All right. Yep. Perfect.
Yaakov.
Yaakov.
Ish.
You got it? Ish. So this is a little tricky. You're used to seeing this word with a dagesh in it. And so if you just did this word, a bait, what's a bait? Think beit lechem, house. But because it's preceded by a vowel, and this is a begad kafat letter, the dagesh drops out. So it becomes uveto. Uveto, because this isn't u vowel. Shurek. Uveto. Mm-hmm. Bahu. Perfect. You got it. Nailed it.
That's it.
All right. I'll repeat that in case you guys are watching the video back. Eit Yaakov ish uveto ba'u. So eit Yaakov ish uveto ba'u. It's hard to change that bait to a the sound. So we see Jacob here, right? We've got that one. And ish, what's an ish? A man. That's right. You're about to get yourself an ish. aren't you? Yep. All right. We talked about this one. So what's the ooh on the front?
And
And it's a little bit of a different form. Do you remember why?
what do you mean?
Do you remember why it's an ooh instead of a vet in this case?
Yeah.
It has to do with the shape of the word of the letter that follows it. It's called a sibilant. When your lips come together, it's hard to go vb, vb. Try it. Vb, vb. It's hard, but it's much easier to say uve, uve. And so it simply just changes the conjunction changes from a vet to an oo simply to help in pronunciation. That's the only reason it changes. The rule still stands. If you see an oo at the beginning of the word, it is a conjunction. It is a conjunction.
And his house.
And you picked it up. Yes. How do you know it's his house?
It's the O ending.
The O ending. What do we call that O ending?
Suffix.
It's a suffix. What kind of suffix? Right. It's a pronominal, like a pronoun.
Okay.
It's a pronoun suffix, a pronominal suffix, and it means his or him. It can also mean it if there's no person identified. So and his house, right? That's how you would read that. And his house. And what about this last one? What do we know about that one? Entered. Yep. Bow. But you knew that because they were down there. But there's your word is from the word bow. There would usually be a vav right in here, but the vav constantly disappears in the word bow. So, all right. Well, let's give this a shot, Wayne. We've got a lot of words there. Do you remember what et is? It has two potential meanings. It can mean with, or it can be a direct object marker. And in this case, it means with. So we'll do with.
Jacob. That's right. Thank you.
Okay.
He is
A man. So it would be, is it the man or a man?
behind him is.
No, right here, just on the ish. Is this a man or the man?
Say
A man. With Jacob, a man. And so we did this one. Beito is his. That's this pronominal suffix on the end. And what's a beit?
it's a house.
House. And so I'll just put it there with Jacob. So we knew the first verse was, here are all the tribes, right? And with Jacob, a man and his house. And you could translate this as each man and his house entered. Okay. You could do it that way too. A man can be taken as each man because we have the his house. It's a man and his house. Well, which one? Well, any of them. Any of them. So each man with his house that went entered. And does this mean that they're like hooking up mobile homes to the back of their caravans and they're hauling the house with them? It refers to their family. It refers to their family. Yep. But if we wanted to be literal, they're traveling with the stones that comprise their homes.
So it could be an RV.
Could be an RV, right? Or we can just understand it to mean this is their genealogical house that's following. It's one of the things I will do sometimes when I get with uber literalists is to take them to a verse like this and say, well, how are they hauling their homes? The places they live.
Got that RV out.
Right? Yeah. So clearly there are some things that we just understand. All right. Very good. They did what?
They did have tents.
They did have tents. They certainly did.
Could all the tent
Absolutely.
donkey could carry.
That's true. Absolutely. All right, Steve, we're up to you.
Uh, eh,
So this is a consonant and a vowel. Vayo,
yo, shen,
Vayosef,
Joseph,
Yosef. Who does that sound like?
Vayos.
Vayosef.
Yes. And, uh,
It's just
eh,
ha, yeah,
yeah,
ha, yeah.
right. The matas ra,
So this is the mitz,
that the B,
the mitz, raim,
right.
the mitz, raim. All right, I'll read it for you because I know some of you will go back and listen to it on the tape.
Tabby.
Ba Yosef, haya, ba mitzraim. All right, what do we know about this one?
There's an and.
There's an and right here. Yep. And somebody said Joseph.
Just you.
Joseph is right here. And what about this verb?
Yeah.
Haya. Haya is the Hebrew form of the verb to be. And it was, it will be. King James says, and it happened. You know, something like that. It came to pass. That's haya. What else do we recognize here?
And
Egypt, right? And you said in Egypt, right here, the bet preposition. All right. So Steve, with all that information, how would you translate this?
was and Joseph
And Joseph.
to be, I don't know,
To be would be was.
was
Was, is, or was.
okay.
And the bet preposition
Oh, in
where was he?
Egypt.
Egypt. Yeah, you just translated it works.
No, he said King James came to be in Egypt.
And it came to pass,
So
you
it's
know.
kind of like an overall statement, and so like and thus just
And so it happened. Yeah. But the verb form of haya will take on different forms. So it can be it was, it is, it will be, it will have been. And it will, depending on the verb form, will tell you what stage of the verb to be it needs to be.
right now I'm just imagining Isaiah where the angels are all saying, like, you know, worthy and praise God or whatever. Hiya.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
It was and is and
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly how it goes.
Is it?
It's very close to how it goes.
No way.
Mhm. And then you'll have pieces where you nope, there are parts where it go like that, and then there are parts where you have to add the to be verb, where you have nominal sentences. You have, you know, the difference in definiteness between a sentence. So the horse is large would be, you know, sus hagadol. The horse is large. And so then you've got to add the verb to put it in to get it back to English. So very good, Steve. I gave you the easy one. I didn't give it to Wayne.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We're giving Daisy this one though.
Wow. Look at that.
Would you like to find a friend to split it up with you?
Carol.
I'll split it with her.
You'll split it with her? All right, let's find a break point here. And let's do it right. We'll put it, that was the wrong place. We'll put it right here. So Daisy, I want you to read from here up to here. So this is uvnai, or sorry, uvne.
Eh?
Uvne.
Yes.
This is Yis
Yes.
Rael. Yisrael. It says a dagesh in it. So it's like pill, has a pill in its Fe, so you close it. Paru.
That's
So that's va. Yish. No, yish. Vayish.
Right.
Retsu. Vayish retsu. It's not an easy word. You guys haven't had that one yet.
what that. Red.
So va. Yi. Rebu. Vayir. No, that'd be Vayirbu. Sorry. Vayirbu. Let's try that one again. So I'm going to read it and then you can try it after me, okay? Uvne Israel Aru Vayish Retsu Vayirbu. Okay. All right. Okay, tell me what that means.
Arrows in there.
We'll do just this part because you only need to know this part right here, Daisy. This part, that's it.
What's the first word?
The first word is oo. You've learned it as the conjunction. And
Is it?
well, Israel is definitely part of it, but we have this b'nai. We have this b'nai in front of it. What's a bain?
Children?
A son.
Oh,
But a b'nai with a construct, masculine plural, would be sons of Israel. Okay, so you got it? So conjunction, we have another. Do you see how common these construct forms are? They're kind of the key to everything. Paru is from peri, it means fruit. So this is a verb form. Okay, it just means fruitful. In the sharats is another one that just means they like expanded. It's a different word from gadol. And the rav right here, you learned, remember we did rav, which means many. And then you can have a ravav, which means thousands. And then you can have ravavav, which means a multitude, tens of thousands. So that's our root right there is the rav, but it's in a verb form. We haven't learned those yet, but I'm just trying to kind of identify where the roots are in here so you can see them. Okay. So you don't need to worry about those words just yet. All right. So go ahead, Robin, on the rest of it.
Va. Ya. No.
Mhm.
Be.
This is a vocal one. Just to let you know, it's a meh.
Be med. Or yeah. Wait. Be med.
So be me'od.
Be me'od.
Our holem is up here.
And then me'od.
Me'od, same thing. Just to repeat.
Va. Timale.
Perfect.
Or ha. Haaretz.
Perfect.
O. Tam.
Perfect. Oh, Tom. Excellent. Excellent. All right, I'll do that one. Vaya atzmu. Be me'od. Vaya. Did you like that one? Be me'od. Me'od. Vati ma'el. Haaretz. Otam. Okay. So let's, from this point forward here, let's identify things that we know. So we've got some conjunctions here, right? I think we all know those, so we can kind of But anything else that you see?
Oat was the vocabulary word, but I can't remember.
Oat was, it was in a different form and it means sign. This is actually from the root that we just looked at. Et. That's what that's this root right here. The direct object marker, et.
Got the lamb.
The land, got that one, perfect. Eretz. What else do you see? If you see it, you can just say it out. And if you're not sure, say it out. Say it out name. Earth, we got that. Yep.
The earth.
The earth. Yep. So how do we know this is the definite article?
Because it's on an article.
So we have a, hey, what are you doing there?
Yeah.
It has a long vowel on it, and our definite article form is a patak and a dagesh, but the aleph rejects the dagesh, bounces back down, makes us a longer vowel. Yep. All right. What else? Anything else you see?
I think moat was a vocabulary word, right?
Moat. Which one?
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry.
Meod? You mean? Is that the one you mean?
But it.
I couldn't remember if it was or not.
No, I think boats might have been,
But moat is, that means dead or death. Yeah.
right. I just
die. We have a bet preposition right here. And there is a pronominal suffix, which I don't remember. Yeah, I think we did cover these just last week. So I wouldn't have expected you to pull that one out just yet. But this is a pronominal suffix here. And it's the masculine plural pronominal suffix over here. All right, meod, easy way to remember this. In Genesis, 6 times we have God calling what he's making tov, right? Tov, 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 tov. And the last one, though, is a little different. It's not just good, it's very good. Tov meod. Tov meod. Very good. And the meod is very, very. And so here we have this weird meod. And when you see 2 of the same words back to back, it's the Hebrew way of emphasizing this. So if you've ever read a text that says, so on the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. Well, you go and you look, there's no surely in there, or certainly. There's none of that there. But it essentially says, dying, you will die. It uses the same moat word twice. And so it's a way of Hebrew emphasizing to say, this will certainly happen. This will surely happen. Okay. So we know these words really quick. We'll fill it in. And I think we'll give this one to Steve, even though she read it. The earth, right, was filled. And the is the third masculine plural pronominal suffix, which would mean there, or in this case, was filled with them. Yep. With them. So the et is the with them. So you can attach these suffixes, believe it or not, to any word, even prepositions. So if you had bomb, it'd be in them.
So et is either a direct object marker or what else?
With.
Or the preposition with?
With. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. There's a tiny little nuance to know if it's a direct object marker, which just means that's all you're looking at, them. And then in this case, the otam, I know it as with them. It means the with. But we'll learn that subtle little difference. You'll see more of it used as a direct object marker than you will in this case.
Wait, so would just be olive men?
Nope. It would be you would have this is the end of the verse, so that's going to jack things up. So you would typically have an itam. Itam.
Hmm.
All right. Good job. We're just reading. So trying to identify a few things as we go through. I heard the big sigh from Wayne over there going, is it my turn yet? Is it my turn? And look, we're going to give Frank gets the one that's all filled in. He doesn't have to guess any words here. Yeah. Favored one. He's the favorite, but that's okay. We'll make him fill in all the rest of it. All right. Go ahead and read when you're ready there, Brett.
Let's be
So Vatsav.
Vatsav. It's on 9. Vatsav.
Okay.
Paron.
Mhm.
Lefol. Amo. Lemor.
Yep. Lemor.
Paul. Ben. Hayilod. Aurora. Ashli.
Ooh. You got it. It's a tough one.
Bethal. Bats.
Kayun. Yeah, it's a tough one,
Worst
isn't it?
boots I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's not a very frequent vowel.
Finally.
Mhm.
I was waiting for that.
Not a very frequent vowel. So very good. It's very good reading. Vaitsav paro lechal amo lemor kal aben hayilod aora tashili hubu vekal chabat tehayun Tehayun. It's a tough one. Some of these are feminine forms, and you just don't run in feminine forms used this way very often. So
You said call for that. I thought you said it was coal.
it is almost always coal, but in this case, this would be lechol. No, lechal. It's still
The
lechal.
one on the second line, actually.
It's standing alone, so the accent is actually on the cough.
Okay. So it'd be
That's good.
call, not coal.
Yeah. If we had a makef here joining words, then that
Then it would
tells
be-
me the accent is after. Yeah. Yep. All right. So let's identify anything that we know. If you see it, feel free to call it out.
Well, the second letter, right's got a zero.
That is Pharaoh, correct? Paro.
Lemor.
Lemor. Tell me, Robin,
Befall.
to say exactly. Important word. And what's our root in lemor? Amor. Yes. Always. Anytime you see that, we have some speech coming, likely. What else?
Call is all right.
Call is all. Yep.
And then there's the sons.
Yep. We've got the definite article right here, right? And then how do we know this is this sons or son?
Oh, I'm sorry. The son.
The sun. Now we're going to see a little interpretation move that we have to make here. What else?
Well, there's another thou.
Where?
The second line, last.
Right here?
Yeah.
Yep. You're exactly right, Steve. You saw it. How did you know that?
Because it got whatever.
What about this one right here?
But that doesn't look. It doesn't have a dagesh.
It doesn't. Can this letter take a dagesh?
It can.
It certainly can. And yet, you know what? This is actually a definite article.
Really?
It is. Don't you love Hebrew?
Yeah. Just messed into my mind one more time.
It is a definite, and your instinct. I mean, the instinct is to see that paw and think, well, this probably is, but
Sure.
this isn't a guttural, so why isn't it taking one? Well, the reason why is this is a noun form that is kind of a proper name. The yaor is the word for Nile river. They're just doing it as river right here, but yaor is the word for Nile.
Well, if it's just a river, then it's a definite article.
It would take, yeah, you would see it there, no problem. But it would be like putting the Pharaoh, it may hold on to its form because it's a proper name. And so I just reject it for that. But occasionally you'll just come into it and go, what? But if when you learn your vocabulary, which you haven't yet, that yaor is the Nile or a tributary of the Nile.
So then negative whenever other thing like Israel never gets a hot.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a little bit different. Now, I also mentioned, remember we talked about the one that was the Mitzrayimah, towards Egypt or to Egypt? Well, if yaor is the Nile, then the is towards the Nile. So they're going to throw the children towards or into that location. All right. What else? Anything else that pops out there?
Habat.
Another one, Habat. Oh, right here. Okay. So what's a Habat?
The dog.
The daughter. Yep. Perfect. The daughter. Singular again, right? Anything else? Let's see. We have, what about this word?
Oh, did we just do that in the last slide?
What? That's Mayim.
Oh,
Wasn't that thing in the last slide?
No, that was etam.
Oh, it's
This is a ayin mem. Means people.
oh yeah, at all.
And whose people?
Pharaoh.
It's Pharaoh's, but how do we know it's Pharaoh's? His people. That's that pronominal suffix on the end right there. Okay. All right. Pretty good. So tsiva, you know the word, what is it? Bar mitzvah. So the mitzvah is the mem, the preformative mem. If you take that off, you have a tsiva, which means a commandment, to command. So right here we have the tzav is part of the word command. So, and Pharaoh commanded to, we didn't get that preposition, to all his people, saying, so there's a command coming to all of his people, saying, so here's our quotes, boop, boop, what is it going to say? All the son, it's just bad grammar, okay, that are Yalad, born, the born ones is how you would read this. So the son, the born,
The Nile.
the Nile. You going with me? The Nile. Well, so here's how this is set up. The son, the born one, the Nile, towards the Nile, you shall throw them. So the order of the words have been shifted in the Hebrew a bit to try to kind of get you to understand. You don't have to sort of join all this together to say a son, when they're born towards the Nile, you shall throw them, cast them into it. And so it's changed up the order just to give a little emphasis to it. Okay.
And that word, the Taj Ligachudu, Is the it's pronounced or the A? I'm sorry, or is that a silent? But it's
No, it's kuhu.
kuhu.
Mhm.
It's
The word in here is shalach, to send out. So you shall send them, you shall cast them. But this verb form is one that's really intensive.
sounds so familiar. Shalom.
Shalach,
Yeah, forget. Shalom. Is that what you said?
different shalach.
Wow.
This conjunction they're translating as but instead of and. But you can take either way. And so that's for the boys. Our son, you see a son, you shall, a son, a born one, indicating they've just been born. You, towards the Nile, you shall cast them. But all, what did you say this was, Robin? The daughter, or daughters in this case, because that's how we have to read it. You may let live, and that's from the verb haya. Not a hey, yeah, but haya. If you ever think, lachayim, life, ayim. Tehayun, you will let live. So the daughters were fine with them because they come in pretty handy as slaves and sexual objects, but the boys, just kill them and throw them in the river. Now, we'll point this out tomorrow night. Who does he give this command to?
Midwives.
Nope. All his people. He's commanded the whole. It's like a law has been passed from Pharaoh to all Egyptians. If you see one, kill it. So you wonder, it's an easy one to miss when you wonder why the punishment came on the whole nation. The whole nation now has been involved by Pharaoh in this action.
Does Saul have a construct form? Is that like masculine thing? Like, because it's not plural, maybe it's like all the daughters. All of like this kind of thing.
It doesn't ever come. I can't remember seeing it in a construct form unless it has a makaf attaching it to the next word. Then you kind of know they're joined up.
Is this not why the grammatic the grammar's a little weird?
I think it's a little poetic. All the daughter, or every, you could say every daughter. You know, you could translate that way. Every son born towards the Nile, you shall cast them, and every daughter you may let live. You could do it that way. Right. All right. Very good. So real quick, we just kind of covered a few of those. Brent's been pointing them out. The O's, these are the charts you want to start kind of keep close to you, near to you, memorize. O, his, when you see that little a peak in there, that's called a peak, but don't worry about that. It means her. Ha, your, and E. And then we have another chart, gave you last week too. There's our et, on, hem, pen, and nu. These are just the endings you're going to want to memorize because you're seeing now as we're starting to kind of do a little review, you'll see them pop up now. So these construct forms and these, that's going to land you with about 80% of the text you'll be able to figure out. You'll just be stuck on verbs at that point. So get these really locked in. And you'll be able to make sense of that when you know the vocabulary word. All right, we just have a couple more to go and then we'll wrap up here. So yeah, I did do just enough for everybody. Cool. All right, Jay, you're up. Sorry, got to pick on your big brother.
Yeah.
If you want, I would be happy to put a break in here and take part of it if you want me to. You want to?
Well,
Okay, all right.
unless it takes me an hour and then.
No worries. We'll have 2 readings of vocab and then we're done.
Yeah, the lot.
So it'll be velo.
Hello.
That's okay.
Hello. Does it eat? Hello.
So this is Yahla.
Let me see.
That's okay.
Yeah. Wow.
And this is a vowel.
That would be you.
If you're putting the ion in, which is really good. So yeah, if we were doing it precisely, it'd be aud. But most people just say od. But aud is how my first and second Hebrew teacher, he was, pronounce that ion. So od would work for that.
And that would be us. Inu.
Perfect.
Well,
That's a va.
yeah.
Okay.
Is it a boat?
That'd be tika. Vatika.
I think. And then no.
Mhm.
The boat.
That'd be a tevat.
Tiba.
Tevat. Yep. Good. You're fine.
There.
Our O is up here. So it's
It's up there. So come on.
gome.
Go make
Mhm.
call from this
That's fine.
boats. That good grief.
That's okay.
Now that
you-
brain starts to just turn to muck and your stomach
Is when you're on your own, it's easy, right? So
Muck. You know what?
va tak
And
mera. Va tak mera.
then back
Va hem. You were right there. Va hem mahar.
back in
Yeah, va hemar. You were right there.
I'll let you help work. Your brain's even getting worse.
That's fine. That's fine. I got a lot of yellow on the screen. So, all right. So I tell you what, I'll read. I'll read the word. You can say it after me and we'll practice. Uva zafe
It's all.
va tasem ba
Ba.
et ha yeled
You let
va tasem ba suf. And I'll give you the ion. There you go. Sefat ha yaor.
yeah.
So Steve, remember that? Yeah, ha yaor.
Yeah. Or
See right there again? Happened again. Because the yaor is the Nile.
Okay, so it doesn't have a dog dash.
Yeah, because it's kind of like a proper name. All right. I know you don't get a lot of chance to practice. That was really good. And I'm not just saying that because you're my brother. I should be even harder on you, but I'm. All right. So what do we know about this one? Anything that you recognize that you can call out? Low. Which low?
First one.
The first one. What's the first one mean?
no.
No. Correct. It's the negative particle. No or not, or do not or shall not. Depends on the verb that follows. We have another low below. What's that one?
No.
Oh,
Are they spelled the same?
no, they're not
Oh.
spelled.
They're not spelled the same. So if I were to put a shawa, would that help you recognize it? To him.
Oh.
It's a pronominal suffix on a preposition.
Well, so they can go on any of them.
They can go on anything. So but I've heard a couple times you guys will hear the word low and you'll be like, low, no. And you know, it's no, you hear it, right? And so what's the pronunciation difference? Low, low. There isn't any. You just have to see it and think, okay, low with an aleph is the you shall not, you do not, will not, whatever that is. But low with the suffix is a lamed preposition with a suffix. So just got to pay attention as you go through. That's all. There. Now, when you spend time, I'll tell you what, by the time we get through the law, if you're in Torah, You will not confuse these. You'll never confuse it again, because there are so many you shall not and do nots. It shows up all the time in front of verbs, all the time. You can't mistake it. You read it everywhere. All right. What else do we know in here? I'll pick one out here for you. Got a definite article here. All right, here's another definite article with a bet preposition. And it doesn't have a dagesh. Why? It rejects it. Perfect. Another conjunction right here. A lot of words you probably don't recognize, but that's okay. You're not here to know the words just yet. Another conjunction. All right, here we go. Brent?
Which one?
Right here.
With.
What's the her? That's right. With her or in her. Right? But I think we did it. The with her is going to actually be a callback to a different word. This in it is going to call all the way back, believe it or not, to this noun right here, which is a really important noun. The teva. This word is used very rarely in the Hebrew scriptures. A teva is an ark.
What?
Ark.
Tevat.
Teva. Now the ot here turns it into what? What are the endings?
Construct.
A construct, feminine, singular construct. The ark of Gomeh. And the Gomeh in this case is a papyrus, some kind of a papyrus. But it's interesting phrasing, because over when the ark is getting built with Noah, it's a tevat gomer, or gopher, for gopher wood. But here's the thing. There's no word for wood. It's a tevat gopher. There's no word to indicate it's a tree or a wood. We'll see that actually tomorrow. So what do we have here? But when she was no longer able to hide him, this is Moses' mom, she took a papyrus basket for him. Where's the for him?
Or low.
For him? Yep. Right there. And she took from Lakach, she took for him a tevat of Gomeh, a ark, some kind of a saving device of papyrus, Gomeh, and she sealed it with bitumen and pitch. Same words out of some of these words coming right out of the Noah story.
Wasn't that Lakach word? Wasn't that like steel now?
Take.
Oh.
Lakach. Take. Yeah, there's a missing lamed right here. Because we just have to have things go missing in Hebrew. So this is a really important word, but this in it or in her refers back to in what? Well, in this little ark right here, this little basket, this teva.
Imagining like Noah's Ark going Nile River.
That's the image. That's the picture.
It's like a massive carnival boat.
Yep. Except in this case, it's a tiny little basket.
Yeah.
So the size in this case doesn't matter. It's a rescuing device of some sort. God can make the teva as big or small as he needs. All right. Anything else in here? Did you guys want to point out? And if not, that's okay. Do you ever, the suf is the word for reeds. So when you've gone through Exodus and it's translated as the reed sea, that would be the yam or sea, suf of reeds, yam suf. And so this word right here is the word for reeds. So she's going to put him, sim, in the reeds on the lip of the Nile, which is how you would say on the edge. So when we talk about sands of the seashore, it's talking about the lip of the Yam. It's the edge of the Yam. It's a very visual language. So she's going to put him in the reeds on the lip of the Nile, Yaor. It's quite an act. So Valo Yachla Od Hatzifino Vatika Lo Tevat Gomeh. She makes for him a Tevat Gomeh. Vatak Mera Bachemer Uba Zefe Ba Tasim Ba. So this is really kind of a pretty little thing. She seals it, right? And she seam in it the Yeled. He doesn't have a name. It's just a child. She put in the Yeled.
And Yeled was like born, wasn't that? Or
Yalad as a verb means to beget or bear,
Oh.
To be born. But a Yeled is a child.
oh,
The bearing.
Mhm. So the Yeled, she put the child in it. In what? The Tevat. And she put, notice these repetitions. She put, and she put in Yusuf, the reeds, on, she put it, would be what it would be here, on the lip of the Nile. What a move to make as a mom to do that. But do you think these authors are using this word by mistake or on purpose to pick the word for ark? This rare word. She could have picked other words as a floating device, but this one was really specific.
Are there any other arcs or tevas?
Not used, but they're spoken of by the prophets and the poets. They'll be, when they're reminiscing about what happened, they'll use that word to remember. But there's nobody that ever enters a teva again. This is it.
So it's just Noah and Moses.
Noah and his family and Moses, and that's it.
What's the difference between an R and book?
You mean like the translation down here?
Mhm.
It's what the English Standard Version translators decided to do. But you can see how easily you can miss things, right? A papyrus basket certainly doesn't sound like an ark of gopher wood. Do you see how in the Hebrew you can actually, if you pay attention to that word, all of a sudden when you come across it again, you're like, oh, what's that word? Hold on. You go back and you look it up. Ark, vessel, and you're like, oh, wait, is that the one? Wait, let me look. It is. It's the same one. And then all of a sudden you realize these authors are very intentionally selecting words to convey something. But in the English, you miss it because as far as you're concerned, she's got a bunch of papyrus, wove together a basket, made a lid on it, looks like a tiny crock pot, set it in the Nile. But it's actually much more than that. As far as the authors are concerned, they want you to think about what you've already read.
Well, that is so scary for a mom to do that with all the crocodiles
Can you imagine?
on a basket
Well,
that size.
I have a theory. I think that they're still located in an area that has, or they've gone into a space that's somewhat protected, that's by maybe one of the palace areas. And my theory is they probably hang nets out across the Nile to keep crocodiles out of certain areas so that their royal children can go in and enjoy the Nile without worrying about getting eaten. So I think Miriam was actually she was very intentional. Miriam, is that his mom's name or is that his wife's name? Miriam. I think she was very intentional about where she placed this.
Well, there's a theory that all the pyramids, they had control of the rivers and stuff, so they could dam things, raise water levels so they could float the supplies, and they kind of lower the water level later.
Yeah, no, I think I think they probably did a lot of those things. So, Yuri, do you want me to make you read or would you like me to read for you?
Oh,
Fine. That's. Go.
So that would be Vayigdal. Vayigdal.
I need to go.
Mm-hmm.
I got that. Then, all.
That's Yeled.
Are you going?
Yep, a child.
Oh, yeah, because the E.
Mm-hmm.
In that. Is that a
So this is a little tricky. So there'd be Te Ve'ehu.
very
Te Ve'ehu. It's a little tricky in the flow on that one.
wow?
And that's a bet. So it'd be a V, Levat.
Levat.
Perfect. And you should know this one. You've been picking it up all night.
Pharaoh.
Pharaoh. But how would you say it in Hebrew?
And or
Paro.
bubble.
I like to remember the word Pharaoh because it's par here is the word for cow.
Now,
Par is cow. Okay. So Paro. I would like to say Paro because he's kind of like the god of the cows. That's why I had like,
I like how the English spelling is like exactly Hebrew, you know?
Yep. You want to keep going? Or you want me to read it
that's the
right here? Vayahi
fire beach.
la
Small.
laven va'ikra.
The people.
Mhm.
I like that. That's yeah.
Exactly.
Small.
Shemo. You were right there, Shemo. And here's our name.
She's
Yep, you got it. You got the vowel.
and Bill.
Moshe.
Most or
Who's Moshe?
Moses.
Moses. That's his name, Moshe.
On
So vato,
but
Yep. vato mer, ki, vato mer, ki, min.
men
What's min? From. From preposition. Ha mayim,
I am now
mashi tihu. Mashi tihu.
yes.
Yeah. Well, do you notice how these are some sounds you haven't heard much of? Because most of the verses I pick have masculine forms and a lot of these are feminine forms. So you can hear in the language, it's a little bit of a struggle, sounds a little different. And it's because we have a lot of feminine things going on, right? When he grew, she brought him and he was, and right. And she called and he said, so you have all these different sounds coming in because this is a gendered language. And so you're hearing it a little differently and you're seeing forms you haven't seen much of because there's not a lot of feminine dialogue in the text. So, okay, a couple things. We'll go through this quick. So Gadol, does anybody remember what Gadol means? To great. And if we put it in a verb form, if you're Gadoling something, what are you doing? Making it great. Or in this case, growing, right? And what's growing? The hayeled,
Maybe.
the child. When the child grew, right? When grew the child, then she did something. She bowed, brought, come, go. She brought him. This is the verb form of pronominal suffixes that we'll learn, but don't worry about that right now. She brought him. Who did she bring him to?
The Pharaoh.
This one right here.
Of a daughter.
She brought him to the daughter, Bat. How do you remember Bat is a daughter? Just think of Bathsheba. Bat Sheva. Daughter of Sheba. Bat Sheva. To the daughter of the cow god, Paro. Paro.
Where's the of and the daughter?
Right here in the construct form of the ending.
But I thought Bots was already daughter.
It is.
Oh, okay.
But bot on its own is a kamatz.
Oh, okay. So you drop like
So the vowel reduces. So you recognize that ending and you know it's the daughter of Patara. So those endings are, I cannot stress to you how important these suffixes. Yeah, these suffixes are so important. They just no idea. All right. So when the child grew, she brought him to the daughter of Paro. And it came to pass, and it was, so we could say, and he became for her, he was to her. Here's our other pronominal suffix extension, right? Lamed preposition. And he was to her laven. Like would be a ka. So we might say as a son. She was to him as a son. I think it translates better like a son. And with prepositions, what's the rule? There's two rules with prepositions. One, never, ever, ever build a theology or belief system on a preposition. And two, they're very, very flexible. So as long as you're kind of catching the nature of it, you're okay. You're okay.
I feel like they're very consistent, though, at least for what I've seen so far.
They tend to, I think they're conveying more of an idea concept about it, whether it be possession, location, whatever that may be, than it is a strict ruling of the word.
It's the same as our purpose.
Yeah, same with ours. Absolutely. Vatikra, and she called. This is a feminine verb form of the word kara, to call. What did she call?
His name.
How do we know that's his name?
Shem.
Shem. Oh, his Shem. And what did she call his name?
Moses.
Moshe. Moshe.
It's not a he or she.
Nope, it's Moshe.
Okay.
Moshe. That's his name.
Go with her.
And
Moshe.
Moshe. So if you, I'll always just give the advice, learn names. Just go learn the names of characters that have the different vowel patterns in them, and it will help you remember how to pronounce the vowels. So Moshe is a good one. And I like Moshe's name as Moshe. It's a good name. Well, and what did she say? And she said, so she's going to explain why.
And she drew him out of the water.
Yep, exactly. So what's key? Anybody remember what key means?
Because.
Because. You got it. Because. Because.
Somewhere it's
From.
The.
Nope. What's this word?
water.
Mayim, from the water. This is a hard one. You won't know this just yet. This is a pronominal suffix on this end right here. And this is our verb form. And this little hirik tells me that it's first common singular. Me shitihu means for, because from the water, I, remember the form of the suffixes for singular is e, hirik yod, or I drew him, and then this is the him. But this is why we'll spend a lot of time on verbs.
Then the yod and the ears, we draw those together.
This right here tells me that this is a he feel form of the verb. Believe it or not. Actually, yeah, I take that back. This is a peel form of the word. So it's telling me the verb form. This little guy right here and this little hookup tells me the form of the verb to know. And this is an intense form. Which is strange because she didn't actually go draw him out. One of her servants, right? Yeah. But it's an intense thing. I'm calling him this because I drew him out. She gave the command. So it's as good as her doing it because she's the daughter of Pharaoh. She's a princess in this case. So When the child grew, she brought, this is the daughter of Pharaoh, she brought him. Did I do from the water I drew? Anyway, we won't, any other questions on that? I won't break that down anymore because we're running out of time. You guys are doing good though. Do you still feel like newbies?
Yes, man.
December 31.
Are you beginning to at least feel like you can recognize a few things in the text? Because that's kind of the key. There's some stuff you can
Stay.
some of it's sticking, isn't it? It's starting to kind of stick a little bit. Yeah.
Wipe out of what?
He remembered the key clause. I mean, oh my gosh, that's huge. This one right here,
The works from the fourth week.
that's a big one. I'll tell you what, that key clause is we don't think about it in English, but the word because or for or since, whatever you're going to use to describe why an action has occurred, that background information, it's a really important part of our language. And so when you get to that key clause, man alive, it's really important because it's this is telling you why his name's Moshe.
Does it ever change? It'll be constructed.
Nope. It's a,
I know one word.
yes. All right. So let's go through these really quick. Stand by. I need to give a cool drop. It's really noisy on the microphone, probably, but that's okay. All right. There you go. Can you handle it from there? Good job. All right. First one, avad. Avad. Now, have you had another word that sounds similar to that?
What?
Avad. And it might be spelled this way with an ayin.
Mhm.
You might have seen it as eved,
Oh.
rendered as servant or slave.
Oh.
Avad.
Yes.
Yeah, you have. Avad. Don't be confused. They're two different words. Ayin on this one, aleph on this one. One is to serve or be a slave. The other one is to perish or be lost. So they feel related, but they are different. Avad, to perish, he perished or he was lost.
Would your first professor pronounce those differently?
Yes, he would do this one as if they were the same form. One would be avad, and the other one would be apvad.
Which one's which?
So the vad is the aleph because it's a stop.
Okay.
The avad is the glottal coming way deep. The
Oh.
Yeah.
A slave. And then, wait. Bud.
And if you talk to an Arabic speaker, native Arabic who's reading Hebrew to you, he will pronounce the gimel with the dagesh without differently, and the tav with and without differently,
So is
and the dalet with and without differently, because they have all of those sounds in their alphabet still.
So is an olive like a ayin with a dagesh kind of?
No, it's more like oh,
Hmm.
that stop. Oh, so avad would be that
To perish.
sound, to perish. And then the ayin originally has kind of the Arabic has kind of a G sound. So in the Arabic, it'd be something more like avad. So it's a soft G way deep in the throat. There's your nerd lesson for the day on the language. And if you aren't raised learning these as a child, then they're almost impossible to produce as an adult. Yep. Ochel, or I should say ochel. And that's exactly how you feel after you eat a whole bunch of food. Okay. What did I do? Okay. So you can remember it that way. Save that for your next Next one. Anahnu.
I'm not.
Anahnu means we. So if there's any in here that I really would say concentrate on, it's going to be these pronouns.
Well, the new ending is the we.
Ah, you already figured that out, didn't you? Where do you think they got that?
From an
From Anahnu, exactly. And ani,
I mean,
ani, which is just the word for I. And you might see in different forms anochi,
no.
anochi, right here. And notice the similarity between the two. What, Brent, do you remember what first common singular pronominal suffix is?
E.
E. That's right. It's a hirik yod on the end of a word. So believe it or not, these pronouns kind of line up a bit with the endings on the words. But these are important to learn because you will see some, like sometimes you might see something that says, Ani Adonai, I am Yahweh. You get it into poetry and you might see Anohi Adonai, I am Yahweh, something like that. So it's important to kind of get some of those together.
Is NLP like the older word or something?
Just a different form. Just a different form. I think it's more like regional dialect, probably. All right. Ought.
What?
You ought to know. And that's if you're talking to your wife, that's a feminine version of you. You ought to know. Okay. But don't say that to her. Sorry, Robin. And Carol. Ata,
I thought.
which means you masculine. And that's her saying, I tell ya. I told you, right? I tell ya. Ata. At, you feminine. Ata, you masculine.
It's weird. It seems like the most bad or the most feminine word possible.
Isn't it?
It got the fan.
But if you remember, when it comes to those endings, if you want to say you masculine, what is it? It's a kaf with a patah, which marries up a bit here. And if you want to say you feminine, singular,
The schwa.
it has a schwa, just like it does here. So there are some similarities between them. Atem,
I pin.
that's if you're talking to y'all men. Aten,
Men.
that's y'all feminine. They can also be atena, but most of the time it's aten.
Wow.
Diber,
You bet.
diber means to speak, to say something. Do you recognize the root?
Var.
Davar. What is davar? A word, a matter, a thing, something like that. In this case, you put it into this verb form, diber, and it means you to speak, to say something. So you might say, he spoke to Pharaoh, saying. And so you might get, that's actually a very common pattern. Diber, el paro, lemor, and then you have your quote. Diber. All right. Last page. We're wrapped up. Hazak.
That's
It's to be strong. He is strong, or he was strong. Hakam
Paul.
means wise. If you've heard the word hokmah, this is the same root of that. Hakam. Hakam. And then hamishi, hamashi, which means fifth from hamash, 5. Harem.
Oh.
Harem means before or not yet. So this word shows up in some different forms here and there. Now, I learned something in this vocabulary I didn't know, which was interesting. And it's this form. I learned the word midst as top. Top. I did not realize that tavek was the actual absolute form of the word midst. So you might know this a little better. If I were to put a bet on the front of this, and we pronounce this betop, which would mean in midst. So if you're Adam and Eve and you are wanting to get away from God in the garden, you would hide in the midst of the tree. So it's like in the middle, the midst, or among a group of things is top. Top. I have never seen it in this form ever. So I would just learn this one. Top.
How would you use the word midst without in?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't. But I remember growing up hearing friends of my brothers talking about token on a take a toke. And then they would sometimes be in the midst of this cloud of whatever the toke was that they would have around. My brothers never did that, but they talked about their friends who sometimes would.
They were wow.
At least I never saw them. They were very good though. Try to give you any help I can on that.
The tree.
So, all right, that's it. That was a long class, but we got to do some reading and just review, and hopefully, if you recognize some things, that means you have learned some stuff. So that's all good. So keep practicing, and then we'll pick it up again next week.